All right, guys, the Utah Jazz lose a tough one to the New York Knicks. This is Hanson James, and this is the SLC Dunk post game show. Oh, what a tough loss for the Jazz. The Jazz had me hoping, and the New York Knicks come into Utah and they ruin the return of Rudy Gobert. And not only that, they ruin it with Trey Burke and Enes Kanter. It's like it's painful. Why does it have to be like this? I mean, honestly, there's a few thoughts I want to have about the Jazz that were really encouraging, some interesting things. But we'll talk about the Knicks a little bit. Like I've said before, my grandpa is a Knicks fan. The Knicks are probably my second favorite team in the NBA, so I'm always kind of rooting for the Knicks. But you know what? They're rarely all that good, so sometimes it's, whatever. They're kind of an afterthought a lot of the time. But this year the Knicks have been interesting and have been pretty good, and they've got Kristaps Porzingis, who honestly, this game is a little strange. And there are reports coming out, and I've seen reports on Twitter and stuff about Kristaps being a little bit more of a diva than we realize. Knicks fans, let me know what that's all about. Is Porzingis not playing a ton of minutes a injury thing, or is this like a locker room thing? Is there a clash with the coach? Is he a diva? Like, is he a locker room problem? I don't know, but it was weird. Like, Porzingis sat at the end of the third quarter and didn't come in till like 4 minutes left in the fourth, which is crazy to me. And maybe Hornacek was just riding Trey Burke and Enes Kanter, former Jazz players, with the revenge game. I don't know, but he sat, and that's interesting to me. The other player that's interesting to me on the Knicks, and will always be kind of that what-if player, Michael Beasley for the Knicks, who really killed the Jazz tonight in a lot of ways. Michael Beasley hit a lot of shots inside. He was hitting shots with Gobert in. Had that one block against Gobert. He was a big part of the reason the Jazz lost today. And Michael Beasley is one of those what-if players because he is such a perfect modern-day power forward with his ability to drive and shoot. He's strong. He's a good rebounder. He's athletic. I mean, talent just oozes out of him, but it's just like mental with him, I guess. And I don't even know all the stories. I'm sure there's stories of why he doesn't seem to last with teams and doesn't flourish, but my gosh, he's flourished with the Knicks at times this season and had big games, and you just wish that guy could figure it out, but when he does, he is good. He is so talented and was a big part of the Jazz losing tonight. So anyways, good for the Knicks. Let's hope they figure out with Porzingis. So the Jazz, they get Rudy Gobert back finally, and Rudy looked really good. You could tell this time around, the Jazz bringing back Rudy, they did not rush it. He was ready to go because he looked good. The first time that Rudy Gobert came back, you could tell that he was rushing back a little bit, and his conditioning wasn't quite there, but you could tell the lift on his knee that was hurt was not there. And this time you could tell the Jazz were very careful, made sure he was 100%. And really the only thing holding Rudy back was his game shape. He was fatigued, and you could see it in his free throw shooting, and I'm sure at times he looked a little winded. I mean, he's probably going to feel it tomorrow, that's for dang sure, and so I wonder how good Rudy Gobert is tomorrow. That's what makes this loss that much more painful, because the Jazz have a back-to-back and are going to play the Clippers, who are playing really well right now. That's rough. Honestly, each game that the Jazz lose against a team like the Knicks, who the Knicks are a good team. It's not, they're below 500, but they have a lot of talent. They have Porzingis and some nice role players in Tim Hardaway and Courtney Lee and Michael Beasley, and Nili Keena's a nice rookie. He didn't play a ton tonight, but he's going to be nice. You lose to teams like that sometimes. It's just the NBA. It happens. Even the Warriors, who won 73 games, lost some games, It happens. So, but anyways, each one of these losses is painful for the Jazz. They are not getting closer to the playoffs. They keep falling away from the playoffs, and that's going to affect the trade deadline coming up. The Jazz are. I mean, I just don't see the Jazz coming back and making a playoff spot. I just don't see it. It's tough. They're like 8 or 9 games below 500, and I don't know how you make that up. I mean, Rudy Gobert is phenomenal, and tonight you saw just how good he was. But 9-10 games to make up, like with less than half of the season to go, is really, really tough. It's really hard to do. And so Rodney Hood has been mentioned in trade rumors. He had a really nice game tonight. That was one kind of silver lining to this loss tonight, is that you saw Rodney Hood had a nice game. Favors had some moments. He wasn't very good, at least as far as I saw defensively. I mean, maybe there were things I didn't notice, or plus minus, whatever. He just didn't look good that good to me defensively, and sometimes it's just the Gobert factor. You see how good Rudy Gobert is, and then when Derek Favors is on the floor, it's, no one's as good as Rudy Gobert defensively. So I guess we shouldn't judge Derek Favors too Rudy. But Derek had some good moments, and Rodney had a really nice game. And it's surprising he really wasn't in at the end of the game when he was playing so well and hitting threes. Rough loss. But the thing that's nice about those things is you were able to showcase on a national game to other teams who are definitely watching. I mean, other teams know and are watching these players right now. They're scouting every game. But it's nice to have the players that might be on the trading block playing well before you make the final signature on a trade. And Rodney Hood looked really nice, and he looked like a player that another team might be willing to take a chance on for the next 3-4 years of his career. And honestly, I like Rodney Hood. If the Jazz end up having Rodney Hood's, not trading him and keeping him on the team long term, I'm okay with that. Rodney Hood's a really good player, and I like Rodney Hood. He's got his flaws, but most players do. But I like Rodney, and if he stays on the Jazz, that's great. If the Jazz trade him, I think they'll get nice value for him too. Personally, my personal opinion is the Jazz should really look at ways to find more draft assets and find more players to build around Donovan and Rudy. The Jazz might be looking at trying to take advantage of Rudy Gobert's prime. We saw today the report that Kemba Walker is available. I don't know if that's a good pick, or a good pickup for the Jazz, a good fit with Donovan Mitchell, but a lot of people seem to think that. I don't like it. I don't know. But that might be a nice pickup for the Jazz. I guess it's preference, personal preference. There's things you could talk about it that make it seem like a good idea. There's things that don't. I think it'll be a very interesting trade deadline, guys. Look for moves. At the very least, we know that there will be a lot of moves for the Jazz. Serge Depoyan, forget the playoffs. While the Warriors have the current roster they have, I'm just elated knowing we have Gobert and Spida for many years. We need to make moves via draft and trade to build around those guys. The future is bright, what we should be focusing on. Exactly. We had that play tonight where Donovan broke down the defense, went inside, wrapped around pass to Rudy Gobert, and he dunked it on an N1. We're going to see that so much. It's going to be awesome to watch the Jazz for years and years and years. They're going to be very, very good, And you're exactly right, Serge. Like, the Jazz really need to think in terms of building around Donovan's skill set and Rudy Gobert's skill set. The nice thing is it's very easy to do that. Rudy Gobert, you can put anyone with Rudy Gobert because he plays defense and hits and sets screens and runs pick and roll and dunks everything. It's easy to build around that. Donovan Mitchell, great scorer, great passer, can play with the ball, can play off the ball. It's easy to build around that. So the Jazz are going to find players that really work well. Honestly, they just need to find guys that can shoot the ball and score. Losing Thabo Sefolosha was a big reason we lost this game tonight, guys. Not having we have Thabo Sefolosha this game, the Jazz win. Plain and simple. He's that good, and his real plus minus is the best on the Jazz. I promise you, if the Jazz had Thabo Sefolosha, they would have won this game. The Knicks would have missed 2 or 3 extra baskets, and the Jazz would have made 2 or 3 extra more. It's just the way it is. Tough loss for the Jazz. It's an exciting trade deadline coming up, guys. Look for a lot of moves to happen, whether it's to win now, which I doubt, but you never know, or whether it's for future assets. We'll see, but it's going to be exciting. Make sure that you go to SLC Dunk to read all about it. Go to like and subscribe this video, share it wherever. Make sure that you go to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and like all the SLC Dunk accounts. We're there for you. Oh, by the way, new 8-bit video coming soon. I finished 3 scenes. I just have to do an intro. Look for that. is coming. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.